Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland and South Australia in for a wet and stormy 10 days. Your latest forecast update from Force 13 Australia. The entire east of Australia is in for 10 days filled with thunderstorms, hailstones, damaging winds and intense rainfall, with a low pressure system set to line itself up throughout South Australia, and it's going to bring a week of very turbulent atmospheric conditions, creating the environment for strong thunderstorms to occur. Your latest forecast update brought to you by Force 13 Australia this January 2nd, 2024. I hope everyone has had a great start to the new year, and I hope 2024 treats you very well and we don't get too much severe weather. But it's definitely not going to be a calm start to 2024 with these severe thunderstorms expected to rage hell across much of eastern Australia. Looking at the forecast right now, severe storms are expected to materialise over Victoria this evening and into tomorrow evening as well. Severe storms to southeast Queensland. There were some mighty thunderstorms that blew through that area yesterday, dumping up to 250 millimetres of rain in 2 hours. Hot conditions across the Gascoyne and Pilbara regions of Western Australia, and also hot conditions around central Australia, Birdsville, Mount Isa, expecting daytime maximas approaching 45 degrees Celsius for the next 2 days. And more storms across Australia's tropical north, with Darwin in for 20 millimetres of rain over the next 24 hours, and a substantial amount of rainfall also forecast for parts of extreme northern Queensland over the next 10 days with pulse thunderstorms. So let's take a look at the rainfall run for the next 10 days. Supported by the Access G3 model on windy.com, you can see a substantial amount of rainfall is expected to fall across much of Australia's centre and into Australia's east, with storms and more storms, especially after Friday, sort of the 5th of January, and then in towards the 6th of January, the next weekend. We're going to be seeing a lot of thunderstorms across Australia's red centre, and then these thunderstorms will blow through eastern New South Wales, or towards eastern New South Wales, and even parts of Tasmania could get impacted by some very strong thunderstorms by the looks of things, before what looks like a trough line develops and we just get pulse thunderstorms after pulse thunderstorms after pulse thunderstorms across said trough line for a lot of Queensland. And it looks like there's also going to be a lot of tropical moisture up there as the monsoon goes in for round 2. After Cyclone Jasper. So taking a look at temperature for the next 10 days across Australia, very hot conditions across Australia's centre and also across Australia's northwest, but elsewhere remaining mild, very average conditions. In fact, 1 or 2 spots could be a bit nippy across Tasmania, with overnight minimums expected to approach 0 degrees Celsius for some nights over the next 5 days. But it's just that typical summer pattern. Very hot across the centre, very hot in the east in the west, of course, but that mild, humid weather across Australia's east. And it looks like Perth might be in for a run of hot weather towards the sort of next weekend and into early next week. Some daytime maximas there approaching 42 degrees Celsius. So we're zoomed right in now on Victoria and New South Wales for the next 10 days. You can see right now some intense thunderstorms moving through the Victoria, but as we speed this up here for the next couple of days, you can see it looks like that low pressure line, that trough line, moves through South Australia, dumps an awful lot of rainfall there by the looks of things, and then moves into New South Wales, weakens off a little bit actually, then moves into New South Wales sometime next weekend, and it looks like we get even more rainfall from the second round of these severe storms, especially across central South Australia. I'll dive into detail a little bit later on in the video, but we could be seeing locations pick up to 150 millimetres of rain from this event. And also in central New South Wales, areas typically really dry, places that get these intense thunderstorms could be picking up to half a year's worth of rainfall, so there could be substantial flooding in central New South Wales from this rainfall event. It doesn't look like the focus is going to be on the coast for this weather system. Actually, it's going to be more inland. We'll be seeing a lot of rainfall across inland desert communities and farming communities in central New South Wales, central Queensland, and also across much of Victoria. They are not going to be spared whatsoever from this thunderstorm event, especially what looks to be the southeast coastline. They're going to be in for an absolute drenching from this event. So now taking a look at what these storms are looking like right now, those red and black convections, just intense thunderstorms blowing through New South Wales and Queensland. We're going to dive over to windy.com, take a look at forecast models and radar imagery and see what these storms are doing right about now. Alright, so looking at the current radar imagery for New South Wales and Victoria in particular, those flashes that you're seeing on screen is lightning activity, and there is no shortage of that whatsoever, especially around Bendigo, Shepparton. They're getting some pretty intense thunderstorms move through that area right now. Now, these thunderstorms are severe warned. They are dangerous thunderstorms, bringing the risk of heavy rainfall, damaging winds, and large hailstones. There'll also be storms in here that could be supercell thunderstorms, which means they'll have a rotating core and the capability to spin up a tornado or two. too. But as you get down towards Melbourne, that sort of area, it's not so much the thunderstorm activity that you're looking out for, it's just torrential rainfall. You're looking at some vast rainfall totals there. Down there, we could be seeing some totals up towards 50 millimetres for the next 2 to 3 hours. So a lot of rainfall expected to fall through there. Now I'm going to jump over to the forecast right now and see what's going to be happening at least over the next couple of hours or so. Now these thunderstorms should move out of Melbourne and the Melbourne metro by around early evening into the early nighttime hours after the sun sets, but it looks like these storms will remain quite strong across the New South Wales Victoria border, and there'll also be some isolated thunderstorms across New South Wales west in some of the more remote communities up towards Toowoomba, and we'll also be seeing some thunderstorms in southwestern Queensland, and also, guess what, thunderstorms up in Queensland's north, but these are tropical thunderstorms, so pulse thunderstorms, and are likely not to be severe. Now later tonight we'll see these storms move through Canberra and that sort of area, and we'll also be seeing a second round of storms by the looks of things. And just get used to hearing the word storms, because that is that's the main story for the next 10 days, is just thunderstorm after thunderstorm after thunderstorm. It's going to be really, really busy. Now, throughout South Australia as well, that's kind of where the main focus is in terms of rainfall and enormous concentration of rainfall that we're expecting. I mean, as we get into Sunday next weekend and into early Monday, we're just looking out for a lot of thunderstorm activity to move through the Lake area and up towards Moomba, past Coober and that sort of area, and then they'll move into southwestern Queensland. Now, the Access G3 model, which is the highest resolution model we have access to, and the Bureau of Meteorology's own forecast model, is saying that we're going to be seeing a massive amount of severe thunderstorm activity with a threat of torrential rainfall, very widespread heavy rainfall totals, and also the possibility of damaging, locally destructive winds and some large hailstones as well. Now, what I'm seeing from this setup here is a squall line moving through New South Wales. Now, a squall line is a long line of non-severe thunderstorms with the risk of damaging winds and heavy rainfall. They're not normally hail makers, but they can chuck down some small hailstones. But if these thunderstorms, especially in their formative stages, they could be quite intense, and they could definitely be dropping those large hailstones that we see in supercell thunderstorms. And they also have that chance of spinning up tornadoes, so we'll be watching out for that quite closely. Now, rainfall accumulation over the next 10 days, I really need to get this covered because this is super important. Rainfall totals across Central Australia will be approaching 100 millimetres in locations, and there will be locations in the Northern Territory that pick up to 250 millimetres from the next 10 days from this rainfall event. Now, in some places, that's a year's worth of rainfall, especially around Moomba, Lake Eyre, Birdsville, the driest parts of Australia, where yearly totals are often below 100 millimetres, and they can go years without seeing a drop of rainfall. There is the risk of substantial flooding from this rainfall event. It's that one in a year sort of rainfall event that comes through and just dumps the year's worth of rainfall, 100 millimetres of rain over a couple of hours. So make sure you are preparing for a possible minor to moderate flooding emergency, maybe even a major flooding emergency in one or two locations that get under the right thunderstorms, because there's definitely the risk of creeks bursting in this scenario. So that means just getting stuff away from creeks and riverbeds, and if you do live near a flood-prone area, make sure everything and everyone is safe and they don't get affected by the torrential amount of rainfall that is on the forecast. Now, also what sticks out like a sore thumb is just the amount of rainfall that's expected around Bairnsdale and around Omeo on the southeastern Victorian coastline. There's a lot of rainfall expected down here, up to 250 millimetres, and this is mostly going to be between days 5 and 10, so next week, which means that the rainfall is going to be happening over a substantially shorter amount of time. Therefore, a lot more flooding is possible. Now, I know I need to cover up in towards southeastern Queensland. There's not too much in the way of massive amounts of rainfall expected, especially around Coomera and the Gold Coast, which got slammed yesterday. There's unofficial reports of up to 500 millimetres of rain falling in one day down here, which is just it's an obscene total. It's not a record total, but it's an obscene rainfall total. But thankfully, there's not too much way in significant rainfall totals expected over the next 10 days, which will add to just the major flooding that they're seeing down there, which is really some scary stuff. Now, to compare this to another forecast model, the ECMWF model, there's still that very widespread 50 to 100 millimetres amount of rainfall across Australia's red centre, around Moomba, Lake Eyre, and across into New South Wales. But the glaring difference between them is just the variation in how much rainfall is expected. Now, over Lake Eyre, nothing is expected on the ECMWF model, and on the Access G3 model, over 100 millimetres is expected. Now, Now, what this tells me is that the forecast is very uncertain. We can't be making calls and decisions off what we can see right now on the forecast. We're going to have to wait another 5 days or so to really know the nitty-gritty and the details. Now, again, with forecasting thunderstorms in Australia's red centre, it is so unbelievably unpredictable. It is very hard to nail a forecast, considering just how isolated some of these thunderstorms can be and the amount of concentrated rainfall that they can dump. But what is expected is if these thunderstorms do dump a lot of rainfall in a creek catchment, that even if a particular location with a creek gets no rainfall, the downstream flow of all the water that has been dropped from one thunderstorm could cause some moderate to major flooding. Does that make sense? That basically means that even if you get no rainfall in your particular location, you could still experience a degree of flooding from some other location that has picked up a tremendous amount of rainfall. So just make sure you are watching the radar and the forecast very closely, and also keep up to date with the Bureau of Meteorology because they'll have their latest warnings out, and keep up with the Force 13 Australia channel because we're doing our best to deliver daily forecasts on this East Coast thunderstorm situation. Now, for the real nerd viewer, I want to take a look at the satellite imagery. Now, just have a look at how impressive this satellite imagery of Australia is right now. The thunderstorms that are moving through central New South Wales are crazy. So widespread, so impressive. Very tall thunderclouds, very beautiful thunderclouds, I might add, but they are housing some damaging and dangerous thunderstorms. So these thunderstorms get over the right town site, they could cause some significant hail and wind damage, that's for sure. These storms could be packing wind gusts in excess of 120 kilometres an hour, some very strong thunderstorms indeed. But I just wanted to show the viewers how kind of almost beautiful and photogenic this satellite imagery is. It's very scary, but it is quite pretty satellite imagery of these thunderstorms that are blowing up across central New South Wales. So yeah, let me know if you want to see more satellite imagery in these videos because I'm more than happy to show it, especially in situations like this. But you can look at satellite imagery, and when you see a picture like this with reds and blacks and so forth, you can tell that there are some intense thunderstorms over a certain location. And satellite imagery is also how we tell how strong a cyclone is. So it's a great thing to learn how to use to estimate how intense rainfall and storm patterns are across certain locations. So yeah, and on that note, I'm going to wrap up this storm update. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to leave a like on the video, and if you want to stay tuned for more, make sure to subscribe. We love having you watching the videos. Give us a comment down below in the comment section, tell us how we can improve, or give us a weather forecast for your location. I'll try and get back to as many people as possible, but thanks so much, and stay tuned for the next 10 days of weather coverage nationwide. It's been great having you, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.
Thank you for watching our content this update. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe to get more updates covering all things weather and geophysics impacting Australia and the Oceania region. Subscribe to our other channels for more content from across the network, and be sure to check out our website where you can find free access to floater and radar imagery and articles on everything weather and much more. If you wish to support us directly, you can purchase some of our merchandise. We have a wide variety of clothing and homeware. Or you could become an Ultimate Fan, which is the best way to directly support us, granting you some sweet perks and offers, including features in our custom storm animations, live streams, and much more.